So firstly, does anyone want to take a guess about what it is? You don't have to say it out loud, just keep the answer in your mind. I will reveal it in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. It is actually a coffin. A coffin? How can a coffin look like this? Isn't that supposed to be sorrowful, solemn, and terrifying? When I was little, my parents led me to visit my grandparents in our hometown. We will pass a street lined by funeral shop, selling coffin, gravestones, and all sorts of black ominous things. And I would always wondering, how could a coffin look like this? It makes death look so grim and frightening. And yet, if we think about it, there are 3 defining events in a person's whole life. Birthday, getting offered from dream school and dream university, finding dream job, wedding, and funeral. Each of these occasions carries deep personal meaning, promoting us to invest time and creativity in celebrating them as a reflection of our own lives and personalities. Except for funeral. It seems to be the one isolated by our Chinese people. Why doesn't the protagonist pay the same attention to plan their own funeral? Is it simply because they won't be there to witness it? Well, that may be true. This reluctance stems from something deeper, an ingrained cultural tendency to avoid comforting death altogether. We avoid death because we fear it. This fear crumbled for me the day I stumbled upon a funeral for a 70-year-old girl, Bonnie. Except she wasn't died yet. She was terminally ill with just days left to live. When her parents held a funeral or welfare party at her hospital room. How cruel. Normally people would say, how can they let such a young girl to face her own death? I clicked on the video. Instead, I saw a room filled with items in her fairy color purple. I saw many vibrant balloons folded around. I saw many illustration boards for her own animation character. I saw her friends expressing their wishes with tears, not only from regret, but a kind of relief. This funeral was designed by Grey Room, a newly founded brand specializing in funeral and funeral item design. Their work went viral on Chinese internet, breaking the cultural silence in a country that saw death as an avoided topic. As a high school student passionate about fashion and aesthetic, I have designed fashion show, art exhibition, and many beautiful events. But a funeral? That idea has never crossed my mind. Until that moment, I never realized that funeral could be designed in one's very form. I never imagined that one could face death with design to reflect the whole life before it counts, rather than being forced to comfort it after losing someone they love. That's my second death education. Then, on the 29th January 2025, I was hesitant about whether joining my family trip to Guangzhou for my aunt's medical treatment. It had been half a year since my mother first told me that news. I still remember that day. My mom sat beside me, her voice calm yet unreal. There's something I need to tell you, she said. Your aunt has been diagnosed with breast cancer. Cancer? Seriously? Cancer? Is it real? I asked. Don't tell your grandmother. She just replied to me. How ridiculous. How can my grandmother not notice the bald head of my aunt, which was covered in black glossy hair? How can she not sense the depressed emotion of her daughter, who used to smile all the time? How can she not notice my aunt's physical situation? She can only lay down on the sofa, staring at us and asking, what if I really die? And yet, every time he uttered the word of death, we would shut her down. Shh, don't say that. You are not going to die. You are not going to die. Looking back, I really loved my absurd, desperate avoidance to talking about death. During those few weeks of Hurricane Serobi, my family existed in the fourth bubble of optimism, as if by avoiding the topic of death, we could erase its existence. But at night, when the world went quietly, I was crying alone desperately at my bed, suffering from the unspoken fear. I guess my aunt may feel same as me. Sometimes she would invite me to talk with her, talk about my school life, my interests, art, history, and design. One day, I shared my favorite history field trip in Belgium. As she flipped through my album, she asked, why there are so many tombstones next to their houses? Indeed, that's a picture of Kill Village. Many gravestones just stood peacefully beside home, as if death was never the enemy of life, but as its decoration, an integral part of it. I didn't say much about it, but I started wondering that question again. Is talking about death really will bring us misfortune? I started researching alone at that night. Those history and art started my personal death education. Look at this painting. What can you find out? A lady seems to be an ancient nobility, or I can tell you, it is actually a funeral portrait, where people like their likeness being painted before they die, often marking with the symbol of mortality, like the tiny fly resting on her head. And for the first time, I realized we've been looking at death all wrong. In art, death coexists with life. In my history textbooks, death is reduced to statistics, fixed number swallowed by time, as it is the principle of nature. But in real life, we turn away from it, as if ignoring it will make it disappear. That's my first death education. As a Chinese high school student, I feel deep sense of regret, as same as love education and sex education. Death education has always been the loose puzzle in our education system. We have never been taught about what is death and how to face it. Where is death education? How many times we see movies where a dying person suffering from huge pains, but their loved one just screaming their name, refuse to accept the reality? How many families pretend everything is fine until suddenly it isn't? The taboo surrounding death deprives many elderly and terminal ill patients of proper end-of-life care, living their final moments of pain and fear. And for those who left behind, the suppression of grief let their lifetime dampened by the tears we are never truly allowed to be dry. That day, after watching that special welfare party, I told my aunt, let's go to Guangzhou together for your medical treatment. I told myself, I will design my own funeral, I will choose my own coffin, I will face death with courage, and of course, my fashion taste. So, do you still remember the coffin I showed you in the beginning? That's actually the coffin designed by me and my friends for myself. Using art and creativity to express death is to express ourselves. Because death is not opposite of life, it is part of life. Thank you.